Wow.
We call the meeting to order. We had an invocation by Commissioner Thorne.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for everybody out tonight in this new year, and we ask that you give commissioners a clear conscience and mind to open tonight's conversation, and everybody that's taking time to come out tonight, that we have a constructive, collaborative conversation for tonight's agenda. And then as we close tonight, everybody get home safely. In your name, amen.
Amen. Roll call.
Commissioner Ashworth,
Here.
Commissioner Thorne,
Here.
Commissioner Clark,
Here.
Commissioner Mack,
Here.
Commissioner Jordan,
Here.
Commissioner Hawkins,
Here.
Commissioner Skeen,
Here.
Mr. Safley.
Here.
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Thorne,
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yay.
Commissioner Safley,
Aye.
Commissioner Mack, Commissioner Ashworth,
Aye.
Commissioner Skeen.
Aye.
All right, the first item on the agenda today has been withdrawn by the applicant. So our next item is PL 1690, Caffey, two-lot rezoning. Request to rezone .33 acres from R10 to R6. The subject property is located on the west side of Caffey Street, north of Southern Street, in Section 13, Township 3, Range 8. Ross Smith is the owner of the property. Mr. Cardozo, would you present the planning staff's comments and report?
Yes, sir. The first two applications tonight, PL 1690 and PL 1691, are related applications. The ultimate goal of these two applications is to subdivide the subject lot in question into two. And so the applicable zoning of R6 is what's requested for PL 1690. So the two applications tonight would be first to rezone to R6 medium density, and the second would be to subdivide. And so, like I said, the first request is to rezone from R10 to R6. The parcel number is listed in your staff report on the description you just mentioned. The future land use map in the comprehensive plan identifies this area as single-family, low-density dependent, and uses complementary to single-family residential are also encouraged, and the ultimate goal is to subdivide the lot for two single-family homes. We did provide an attached zoning map to give you an idea of what's surrounding it, and it is worth noting that there is R6 zone property adjacent to this parcel. As always, the three, three applicable criteria discussion items for our decision tonight are how this proposed amendment would conform to the general development plan, why this existing district classification is inappropriate or improper, and what changes in the area have justified these changes. Like I said, the ultimate goal for this application is to subdivide the lot twice for two roughly 6,000 square foot lots. In order to do that, the requested zoning of R6 would be required with a 6,000 square foot minimum lot rather than the current 10,000 square foot lot. We did include in your staff report a description of the R6 district, and the motions to approve, deny, and/or table are listed in your staff report. The applicant's here tonight, and I'm available if you have any questions.
All right, any commissioners have any questions for Mr. Cardozo? Would the applicant please come forward, state your name and address in its entirety?
Joe Lauderdale, 231 West Center Street. Mr. Ross got in touch with me several months ago about this piece of property. Looked back and saw that I had surveyed this piece of property and surrounding area about 40 years ago. So we're here tonight on this rezoning. This piece of property was one of the original city lots laid out a long time ago. I don't remember even ever seeing a house on this lot, but it could have been. It's a long time ago, but I don't remember it. But Mr. Ross thinks that building homes here will definitely fit in with the neighborhood. There's been several new homes built in this area in the last year, 2 Habitat homes, and then Mr. Ross has built 2 homes in the subdivision just south of this piece of property. And that subdivision is, Austin mentioned, is an R6 zoning, so this R6 request is connected to that particular area of property. The owner of the property believes there's been enough change in the area in the past years since the comprehensive plan to warrant a rezoning of this area. With the additions to some of the county buildings just north of here, north of this property, Mickey Davis's approval of his condominium project about 1 block east of this property. Has been a change in the neighborhood, so Mr. Ross would like to build a couple of nice houses there and on this property and add to the neighborhood.
Questions from Mr. Lauderdale?
Yeah, I'm confused a little bit. If it's already an R10, why are we changing it to an R6? I mean, couldn't you just build a house on it now?
They could build 1, I think they're trying to build 2.
2 on that same lot?
Trying to divide it, yeah.
Okay.
2 lots equal to the lots that are in the subdivision south of there. There'll still be 2 nice lots.
Any other questions, Mr. Lauderdale? All right, thank you. Anyone in support or against this item, please come forward and state your name and address in its entirety. Right, is there a motion to approve, deny, or table this item?
Make a motion to recommend approval for rezoning request by Mr. Ross Smith, owner of property, to rezone .33 acres from R10 to R6, the subject property identified as parcel 3086130040010900 and is located on the west side of Caffey Street, north of Southern Street, Section 13, Township 3, Range 8, based upon the following findings 1 through 3.
Second.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Thorne?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Aye.
Commissioner Safley?
Aye.
Commissioner Max?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashworth?
Aye.
Commissioner Skeen?
Aye.
Motion to approve this item passed. Next item is PL 1691, Caffey, R6, final plat. Request to subdivide 2 lots on .33 acres. The subject property is located on the west side of Caffey Street, north of Southern Street in Section 13, Township 3, Range 8, Ross Smith, property owner. Mr. Cordos, would you give us the planning staff report and comments?
Yes, sir. This is PL 1691, and this is the second half of that zoning application we just approved. And the current request is to divide the lot into 2 parcels now that the property is contingently zoned R6, the first lot being 6,000 square feet, the second being 8,400 square feet. And so, Commissioner Thorne, to answer your question, the reason for the zoning was the minimum lot size in R6 is 6,000, and the minimum lot size in R10 would be 10,000. So that was to divide it in half. They needed the zoning. The setbacks are listed in your staff report of front 25, side 5, rear of 20. And with that minimum lot size now rezoned, all of the setbacks and bulk requirements meet or exceed the development requirements. There is no flood zone on the property, and like I said, this is final plat approval. If approved tonight, it will go to the Board of Aldermen on January 17th. And in the proposed motion, I did include that this is contingent on the R6 zoning being approved by the Board of Aldermen on the 17th, and so the applications go together. The proposed motion also includes 7 recommended conditions, and this includes improvements to Caffey Street, curb and gutter and sidewalk, which has been talked through with the city engineer, and so those conditions cover that improvement to Caffey and will require that to be bonded. The applicant is still here, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Cardoza? Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and address in its entirety?
Joe Lauderdale, 231 West Center Street. I don't really have anything to add to what's been brought out. This is the plat to get recorded, showing the 2 lots. Mr. Smith plans to build the houses on the lots himself. So,
Any question, Ms. Lauderdale?
And he's okay with doing the sidewalks and stuff as Austin and the engineer?
yes, sir, whatever's, that's standard in the city.
Any other question, Mr. Lauderdale? Thank you. Anybody in support or against this item, please come forward, state your name and address in its entirety. Is there a motion to approve or deny or table this item?
I'll make a motion to grant final plat approval to Mr. Ross Smith, owner of the property, to subdivide a .33 acre parcel into 2 lots contingent on R6 zoning approval by the Board of Aldermen. The subject property is identified as parcel 30861300400100900 and is located on the west side of Caffey Street, north of Southern Street in Section 13, Township 3, Range 8, based upon a finding that the submitted plat generally conforms to the requirements of the city's codes and ordinances, subject to the following standard conditions 1 through 7.
Is that second?
Second.
Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Thorne,
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan,
Aye.
Commissioner Safley,
Aye.
Commissioner Mack,
Aye.
Commissioner Ashworth,
Aye.
Commissioner Skeen.
Aye. The motion to approve this item passed. The next item is PL 1693, Delta Landing PUD. Request to revise the PUD text on 251 acres. The subject property is located on the west side of McInville Road, south of Pleasant Hill, in Section 31, Township 2, Range 7. Bob Dalhoff, representing the owner of the property. Mr. Dose, would you give us the planning staff report and comments?
Yes, sir. This is PL 1693, and the request is to revise the amendment and preliminary development plan approval to create the Delta Landing PUD. As you mentioned, this is a 251-acre parcel south of Pleasant Hill, west of McInville Road. And a little context on the background of this parcel: the original PUD, Brighton Village, was approved in 2007 and was the entire 251 acres of 131 acres of residential, 20 acres of commercial, and then 72.5 acres of amenities and common open space. And I did include the original plan text. There's a couple of copies available for y'all up there. It was so big a printer wasn't handling it for everyone. So I'll explain the specific changes here in just a minute, but the request is to amend the 251 previously approved PUD to the current request of Delta Landing PUD. The future land use plan for the comprehensive plan identifies the subject property as the mixed-use land use designation. It's a variety of subsets, and I also included a full description of this category in your staff report. And the conformance with this comprehensive plan is listed in that report on that page as well. With the previous rezoning, the same 3 criteria for approval or denial are applicable. How this proposed amendment does conform to that general development plan, why this existing zoning district is inappropriate or improper, or in this case, why these changes would be inappropriate or improper relative to that zoning. and then what economic, physical, or social changes have occurred in the area that weren't anticipated that justifies this change. So the 251 parcel, generally speaking, and I'll get a little bit more detail in just a second, what this does is remove the existing townhome area from the previous plan. It removes the age-restricted multifamily housing that was in the previous plan. It did revise the internal streets, and they presented a residential pattern book. The previous plan, the lot sizes are staying somewhat similar, between 6,000 and 12,000 square feet, and the overall density of 3.2 dwelling units per acre is roughly the same with the number of units. The primary difference in this plan and the previous is this current plan includes an incorporation of a proposed YMCA campus in the frontage, and I'll talk about that here in just a second when we get into the specifics of the plan. Alternative right-of-ways were submitted, and that's in the last few pages of the applicant proposal. We did vet these through city engineering and public works for all water and sewer, and they came to an agreement on the location of these water and sewer mains and the widths of the road. The parking requirements in the commercial district do slightly vary from city requirements and just go into more detail for some of the commercial uses, and that's, we'll talk about that here in a second as well. With the single-family residential lots, while the lot sizes stayed the same, the biggest difference in the previous plan and the amended plan would be the addition of the roughly 6,000 square foot lots and the reduction of the roughly 5,000 square foot lots between the approved and amended plan. As I said, the minimum home square footage is proposed to stay the same. The previous plan included 136 units of townhome development. They're proposing to remove this. The previous plan represented 39 units of multifamily. The new plan is proposing to remove that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the biggest difference in the community or amenity portion of the plan would be the addition of the YMCA site of roughly 10 acres along the frontage. The additional changes you'll see in the greenway system would be a proposed donation to the DeSoto County Greenway on the southern portion of the property. And that would run along the bank of the creek to connect with the ultimate greenway plan that's been provided by DeSoto County. And then the right-of-ways are increasing, but that's because of the addition of alleyway lots, with the primary boulevard entrance being used for shared traffic throughout the neighborhood, and the alleyways be for the parking areas. The bulk text in the document shows setbacks, and they're all pretty applicable to zoning districts that are similar in that lot sizes. The applicant does have a presentation tonight for the computer, and I believe she's already passed out the chart I've been referencing on the approved plan and the amended plan. Did Michelle pass that out already? I'm sorry, I missed it. Okay, so you've got that in front of you now. They'll pull it up on the screen just here in just a second. The plan text is included in your staff report, and there's 5 copies of the
Or 65 North Quail. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Also here with me are the McBrides, the developers of the property. They have it under contract. Also, Nick Croonan, I think it's here with regards to traffic, and he is the engineer on the project. Michelle Yee, who handed out this, is a principal at our firm also. As Austin said, the plan has been a plan of record for around 15 years. It was approved 15 years ago. And so we want to resurrect it for numerous reasons. One is the need for it. The other is out of the one of the 3 sites that the YMCA, is this where, you know, hear this, I guess, okay. this was one of the sites and the premier site that they chose. So in regards to that, I'm just kind of setting this up for you a little bit. The developer has willingly adopted to donate that land to them, 10 acres and pad ready, which is quite a few millions of dollars, along with the dedication of the Hernando and DeSoto County Greenway, which is almost another $500,000 donation. So into this thing. The other thing, so you'll know, and I'll get into it in detail and show you on the map in a second, though. Also, I know that, and y'all may be aware, there's some lagoons to the north of this piece of property that need to come offline, have been determined they have to go offline. This helps solve that problem also. It provides sewer to that area. So anyway, that you can go to the next slide now. Thank you. Oh, do I have it? Don't I? I'm sorry. Do I point here or there?
It should be the computer right there.
Computer right here.
Right here.
Ball, right
Oh.
this way.
Oh, okay. There you go. I think you're all somewhat familiar with this area, where this area is. The modifications are, as I'll show you in a few slides, I'll show you the approved plan, the modifications we're making. It's mainly in the residential area and some in the retail area, but as I went through and looking at the older plan, circulation, vehicular circulation and pedestrian circulation, both, had some problems. For instance, if you had a car parked on the street, you couldn't get a fire truck by. So that's a problem I see. So I had to change some of the cross sections of the road so we could get safety and interconnectivity. A lot of the streets you couldn't get in and out of. You had to go half a mile around just to get to your house. So we made some changes there also. But, you know, as I've been working in DeSoto County for quite a few years myself, I've been in this business for about 50 years of land planning. I've done 25,000 acres of DeSoto County planning-wise. But out of all that 25,000 acres of planning, all of a sudden now with the I-269, the interchange, which I was both involved in both of those situations also to make that happen, realignment of McInville Road, Madison Lakes development, the new high school, I was involved in all those issues. So things have changed out there quite a bit, but this has become the sweet spot. This location in Hernando has become the sweet spot of DeSoto County. I know that the property owner gets tons of calls all the time for all kinds of uses y'all don't want in your neighborhood, I know. So I think that this, hopefully, this will help set a benchmark for this area. I can tell you, she owns, except for the school site that she sold, she had 1,400 acres there. And there's some more, as you know, there's a lot of other vacant land in that area. But I think that this, again, will help set a benchmark for other developments and keep some of these other things out of the area that, in my feeling, don't need to be there. This is a premier location. You got high school across the street. You've got the athletic complex. You got ortho up there. You've got a lot of things happening for you. You really do. So this is a time to make this area shine, as you might say. If you want to go to the next slide, please. Thank you.
You've got it.
You got it.
Oh, shoot. I keep forgetting whose operator is, huh?
You want me to
No.
tell me? I can do it.
I'll try to remember.
Okay.
If I don't remember this next time, I'll give it to you, though.
Okay.
This is a site analysis of this piece of property. It's, as was said, it's 200, uh-oh. There it is.
Okay.
I got it. This 251 acres. It's a little deceiving when you're out there. There's actually 30 foot of grade change on this site from north to south. When you drive by it, it looks flat, but it's not flat. There is a lot. The new school, as you can see, has this got a pointer on it?
Not gonna show on the TV though.
Doesn't work.
Right here. You point it
No,
right
he's
Oh.
talking about a
Oh.
lovely.
I was trying to point up there, but it wasn't. You can, up towards the right-hand corner, you see the new high school, the athletic fields, which are under construction to the south of it here in that area. So, and I can tell you, we went through quite a bit just to make that school happen there, a school site happen there. We're in the Nesbit Water District. We do have a will serve letter from them. Sewers is Hernando Sewer. It's on site. And you can also see from that, you can see the 100-year flood area. There's some swells that kind of came up in the area that also has to be filled, and also this floodway along Hurricane Creek itself. The approved plan, and I think maybe y'all kind of may have some of that in front of you, that is the approved plan. The uses, the mix of the uses are basically the same: residential, open space, and commercial, office. But again, that's 15 years old. There's a lot of things that need to change. There's a lot of things after reading the minutes from the last approval of this plan that I think people had concerns with, and that was townhomes and apartments. So we've taken those out. We'll be happy to put them back in if you want them, but we'll take them out. I don't think you do. So we've changed those to single family. So, we didn't take out any senior housing except for the apartments. And I can tell you now, seniors don't like to live in apartments. They don't like to climb stairs. So I do a lot of senior housing developments, awful lot. So in that deletion, we deleted 175, you might say, multifamily units out of it, including townhouses and apartments. The townhouses were on the next to the interstate, and then there was apartments in the center by the retail, by that traffic circle. We also modified the circulation plan. Again, there was not interconnectivity, and I could show you in detail. You'd probably be amazed, but I'll show you where we did make our changes. The area I've outlined there in red is the areas of the plan that we made some tweaks and modifications to and made it function better. Road connections, for instance, the little line that goes up connecting into that area, we just feel like we need to bring more people, more connectivity. That's what it's all about. Excuse me, because the connectivity helps reduce the size or need for large thoroughfares. One thing that we did do that's very important, I think, was in the original plan, the boulevard stopped at the traffic circle in the entrance. We've extended the boulevard all the way around on the property. And I'll show you on the plan, you'll see that. So circulation-wise, transportation-wise, and as the traffic study said, everything's in great shape. It's best it can be. And of course, we had to make modifications for the YMCA site. I'll show you that too. So this is the new master plan. So it's basically the same, except you see we took all the multifamily out, the townhouses out against 55, and we had to change the lakes. We also, the YMCA site, Michelle, would you show me where that is right here? There's 10 acres right there being donated to YMCA for it. I've been also meeting with YMCA. I've talked with them again today. They said they're more than happy for us to show it. That is about an $18 million expenditure to them, to the YMCA, is raising money for that. So that's $18 million facility going in there. It is absolutely unbelievable place. So in this, we improved the circulation, greenway and pedestrian greenway connections that weren't there before. You couldn't get to the greenway. Actually, the other plan didn't have the greenway. It wasn't intact at that point. The neighborhood mix, there's 6 types, makes up the neighborhood. Lofts over the retail, which the other plan also had. Open space is 20%, about 56 acres. Greenway area, the dedicated greenway area is 16.5 acres. That's I can tell you that's close, in gifting, that's close to $500,000 in land. So the site, YMCA site, as I said, that's another gift, that's 10 acres. And right across from the traffic circle towards, I guess, to the west is the little park. No, there's a little village park right in there, which you could see in the book that you have, gazebo and everything there. And that is in front of the senior housing. That color that you see there are all senior housing homes that it fronts, and you'll see it in some exhibits here in a second. The rest are all single family through there. And then, of course, along the south edge are condominiums, fee simple condominiums, ownerships, no rentals. There's also will be charging stations for cars, electric cars, placed throughout the business area. There's single-family homes, there's 518, condos, there's 92, lofts, 125, senior housing, there's 74 homes, so there's more senior than there was, and less condos than there was even. The central village area, which I'm calling kind of the commercial area, the mixed-use area, up towards the front, There's shops, there's living, there's office, there's storage, there's hospitality, and of course the YMCA. YMCA, I talked to Justin, as I said, I talked to him today. He would be happy to be here tonight if I felt he was needed, but he just got back in from vacation and he was going to have to work late anyway. I told him I didn't think he was needed tonight. Maybe the mayor and board, I don't know. Next, we put together some inspiration images that we see in different parts, and some of them we've done different parts of the area. The atmosphere and the venue that we're trying to create here is not so much downtown feel, but it's really a village feel, but still has that downtown flavor, you might say, of substantial structure. Then this is another inspiration. So lakes, fire pits, parks, walking trails. That bottom right could be the Hernando Greenway, part of the Greenway Trail. So we're dedicating 50 feet off the top of the bank for that. It worked this way. Then we looked at some other architecture for condominiums, fee simple condominiums, and then office buildings. And then this is the traffic circle now. This is in the traffic circle now, is a clock tower. And the background, it would be senior housing, and then over to the left over here, you see the gazebo at the park area that fronts it also. Very large traffic circle. This would be from the retail area on the walk, looking at the traffic circle with the senior behind it, the park, and you see the crossing. The crossing to the left is where the YMCA is located. That would be the YMCA where the car is, the glass building there. You see some buildings here, the clock tower. Then in the distance, you see the park. This again is a different corner of the street. There's the YMCA across the street, and shops living above. That's the YMCA image that they furnished us. And it is, I can tell you, it is really something. I could go on and list all the things. They have swimming, of course, swimming lessons, daycare, they have lunches, they have early learning center, wellness center, community kitchen, and it just goes on and on the things they're offering. This is a kind of almost a state-of-the-art YMCA. Really, really, I've been to a lot of the meetings here lately with the city and with them. Pretty fantastic, really unbelievable. Running track inside, swimming. They will be able to have swimming team matches here, competition. So they'll have that kind of pool. So they won't have to go to Memphis State or Tunica or wherever for the swimming matches for high schools around here. They can go to the YMCA now. That's what's being set up for. This is, you might say this is really the outline plan or land use plan, however you want to call it. It is, and you see the retail area also includes the YMCA in there. That 10 acres is in there also. The A2 area is the multi-story retail down area in the core of it. And then the area B is kind of small up there, is the senior housing. And then, excuse me, and then the other areas are different, are 6 and 7s and 12,000 square foot lots. And then to the south are the condominiums. And then all along the edge of Hurricane Creek that you see there, that is the Greenway area. And this is the circulation plan now that you can see in the book, where we've tied it all together, vehicular and pedestrian. There's actually connections coming from the neighborhood, greenways that are coming from the neighborhood to get people to the greenway system now. That wasn't there before. So you can see the boulevard, we've extended, instead of the first traffic circle, we've extended all the way around to the traffic circle, one that we've added at the very end there to carry this traffic and get the traffic back out as needed. This is not going to happen overnight. This is going to take some years to build out, for sure. It's going to go through some different economic situations, I'm sure. It's a long-term plan for the area. But, again, it stabilizes the area, and I think it sets a mark and benchmark for the area. And I think that's what's really important to the city and the future of this area, because there is so many people wanting to be here that are probably not what, like I said, not what you want in your town. or what you say you're not, don't want anyway. Everything's within a 5-minute walk. As you can see, all the green space and parks, 5-minute walk. There's a large park in the very center with a playground. I believe it's a little over 5 acres itself. We are tying to the streets to the north. The other plan was required to. We have also the next image. This works with the TV too. This is our preliminary phasing plan, and its phases are a little larger than they're going to be. We know they're going to have to be cut down a little bit, but this is the strategy that we want to get to. First phase was to get YMCA in, so we're getting 2 roads in and getting the traffic circle, YMCA, and then as you can see, our phasing goes on around. It would go on around up and then back up towards the north where that the lagoons are that need to go away, which will give it an opportunity to tie sewer onto it. Now, that may be phased in different, smaller phases, but at least we have a route now and not a force main that y'all are fixing to put in. Y'all are fixing to have to go across people's properties and put force main in. Because I'd already got the information on it sent to me. So it solves a lot of problems. It adds a lot of amenities to the town, the city, no doubt about it. I feel like it's a great thing to basically resurrect and fine tune this after 15 years and make it a place where I'd want to live at and a place that cares. You know, planning is an interesting thing. You don't really plan for today in scale like this. You're planning for the future, and that's what we're trying to do here is plan for the future. And then back to the master plan. Be happy to answer some questions. I know it is probably a lot, but it's we have very tightly put it together, and the developer is committed to it. He's committed to the YMCA. He's in it. So it's a great, you might say a great marriage, but it's a great thing for the city. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question for you. The only connection to residential is from the residential streets. I'm looking at.
They're stubbing into the property.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no connection from this retail area to Hall Road?
No.
Okay.
No.
Completely separate?
No, separate.
Okay.
No. That's the road that's closest to McInville. No.
Yes, sir.
No connection. That's the only one that's not connected. And then there's 2 connections to vacant properties.
But Dogwood Hollow Drive, is that Broadway? I can't read what that is. Brody Road.
All the rest of the roads,
Those 3 are going to connect to existing roads?
right,
And-
yeah,
and
just like they
that's
did, yeah.
all residential, correct?
Like we were told to do. And like it was done last time.
I have a question, and I know you're talking about this being setting kind of a benchmark, but obviously that would be in its entirety. And you're saying this would be a many-year project.
It'll have to be phased, yes, sir.
Do you have any idea, kind of an estimation of how many
In
years you're talking?
an ideal world, we'd love to see it happen within 8 years, 6, 8 years, something like that. I don't know what's going to happen in the economy, if we're going to have a slowdown or speed back up or what. I know the developer would love to have it all done in just a few years, but that's not possible. It'll have to come off a little bit. But one thing that we are going to do is, or want to do, is put more markets than one on the table, on site at one time. So if somebody comes there and they're not looking for this kind of product, there's another product there for them. And they can live in this place, in this village. But it does, you just can't build houses that quick and sell them. So, yes, it's going to take a little while. But it is a plan to proceed with.
Yeah,
And
it's
they're ready to proceed.
Follow-on question to mine is looking at the phase plan, phase 1, 2, and 3 going into the development, and you come back, where's the phase 4 for the senior residential?
It'll be by demand. The senior may happen actually a little quicker. It depends on the demand of the senior. The senior may be put into 2 phases even, a small part and then a larger part.
And that goes back to what you were just saying, if there's a demand for it, we'll switch the
Yeah,
plan.
and the retail won't happen until that demand's there.
Right.
That's why it's later on. It's, we've got to get, housetops brings retail, and that's what we've got to have. We know the market's great in Hernando. It's a great place to live. It's a great environment. So we're not scared of that. We just, we know that the Y is pushing us pretty hard. They have a pretty tight schedule, and so we're doing everything we can to expedite and get moving forward so they can finish their fundraising.
Is it necessary to triple the number of 6,000 square foot lots?
We took the townhouses out, and that's where they came from. Replace it with those.
That comes from the 21 acres.
100 and some odd, yeah, there was 130 something, I think, over there, I believe is right.
That couldn't be made,
There was 136 townhomes over there.
that couldn't be made 12,000 square foot lots or
Not,
10,000?
it could, financially it can't. We've got to have something to offset, we've got to have something to make money. We're giving away so much money in property and improvements that we've got to have something to get some of it back. Obviously, the townhouses would probably rent out quicker than single-family homes would be built and sold, but we just need something. And the other little bit of increases in lofts above the retail.
And that's the only thing that concerns me about this being a benchmark development is that, I mean, looks like, 70% of the lots are 6,000 square foot lots. As I'm sitting here looking at it, there's only 93, 12,000, and there's 106, 7,200 square foot lots. We're building
But, you know,
small,
excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt.
small residential houses. Are these going to be front-facing garages, loading, front loading, side loading?
They're front facing except an alley. If they have an alley, they're in the rear. All garages, anything that has an alley has to be accessed by that alley. So you have a clean streetscape.
What's the minimum square footage house that you plan on putting on those lots?
The houses are, on the sixes, the minimum heated, the minimum heated on the sixes was 16. On the 7200s, the minimum heated is 18, and on the 12s was 2,000 minimum. Those are minimum, we won't go any less than that.
So we're talking about 1,600 square foot houses.
No, that's just the minimum, that's just the minimum.
All right,
Right now,
that's
they're
what I'm-
building larger than that, but,
I understand,
Yeah.
but there's 393
yeah.
lots that would be devoted to 1,600. The vast majority of this project would be 1,600 square foot.
It is, and that's, around all the other municipalities I work in, that is the product that's happening. I live in one myself. That's the product that's happening. That's, our lifestyles have changed quite a bit, and some of us are bad workaholics and don't have time for large yards and don't want large yards. Children are gone away. The other thing is the cost, the price of things nowadays. It's crazy, and it may come down. Things may come down a little bit, but they're not going to never be like it was. It just won't happen.
Yeah, I read something earlier, and I was wondering if you had any data on the trends on homeowners, new homeowners, first-time buyers wanting a same-size house but a smaller lot, like
Right.
less yards. I read something that, and I can't recall it was just recently. I was wondering if you have any
No.
data or trends on
No,
what
I can
that
tell you
is.
that, and that is true. People still want, well, it depends on the family, or whether it's 2 people, 3 people, or 4 people, whatever it might be at the house. But they would like to live like they're living, but they would like to, I can tell you, as much as many projects as we've done, I've done over 100,000 acres of development. The trend is they still want the luxury of that house. They want it downsized a little bit because they don't like the maintenance of that whole house or heating and cooling it, but they like the small lot, and that's what's happening. I can tell you, I myself had a small lot served by Service Drive in the rear in Collierville, and I had a 3,000 square foot on a 6,000 square foot lot. So you could, whatever that person wants, they fit on those lots. They just can't. It's the
Well,
guy who wants to build
I'd
it.
like to see
But
all of the green space and parks and areas that you have in this plan, because the smaller lots, even if I don't have a backyard, I've got access to.
and I thought that was a great thing. That's the reason I wanted to improve on the last green space plan, connectivity. And I think reality is, when it comes down to it, the greenway, the Hernando and DeSoto County Greenway come through there, interconnects everybody in the future, bicycling and everything else. It's going to, it's a great amenity. We've done an awful lot of that ourselves through Collierville, Germantown. We've done all those green belts through those areas, along Wolf River through there for them. And it's incredibly used all the time. It's great. So we have a division that's all park and recreation and division that's development. But it's a lot of amenities. So I think to me, this, not only this development here, setting a mold for this area helps the other side, the south side of Hurricane Creek. Almost tells you what it has to be, needs to be.
Well, it goes back to Commissioner Jordan's concern that it's a great model, no doubt. It's a great plan. But are we setting a precedence that everything future after that, we start reducing things and getting higher density?
Yeah. Well, we have the same density we had, the other plan has. It's the same density, 3.2 units to the acre. And it's, you know, it's kind of like I said, and I understand that there is a lot. We modeled after the other plan, and I can, as I said, reading the minutes of the approval of the other plan, there was a tremendous amount of concern over the townhomes and the excuse me, and the apartments. So I thought, well, you know, the best thing to do is to take them right out. Let's just get rid of them. If they don't, I know you don't want them in your town. I already know that. Don't want them in DeSoto County. I know that. But just get rid of them and put the houses in there. But we had to make up that cost difference because the land didn't change price through it. So that's the reason we had to, you know, get the density, to keep the density that we had. So it's because the dollars have still got to work. Even though the cost of everything is going up, you still have to have numbers that work or the plan won't work.
I like the plan, and I agree with him. I mean, the open spaces, of course, putting in the YMCA would be wonderful. I just am concerned that we're gonna have, that it's devaluing, you know, what Hernando can be and other things. If we do just a lot of 1,600, 1,800 square foot houses, squeezing them in over there.
I think it's a
Tripled the number of those.
It's a balance you got to strike, because if we want to generally keep townhomes and those types of properties at a minimum, we still need affordable housing at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's where the smaller houses come in.
Yeah, I know that, I can remember very well when we had our, I'm going to call it the Great Recession, our Great Recession, let's just say. I've had done an awful lot of plans for DeSoto County. As I said, 25,000 acres worth of stuff, not counting this one. And when that recession hit, all the bankers came to the county commission and so on and said, we've got to reduce these and we can't sell them. We got to get the square foot where we can it's flexible for the market so we can keep working. If we go stagnant, that's the worst thing that can ever happen to a development, is go stagnant. It just can't. And at that point, when it goes stagnant, the bank comes in also. So we tried to keep it down what was previously approved and build above that, but give us margin for bad times or whatever, that we can put those others, keep the project active and put the others in there also. There's a need for everybody.
We've had issues with smaller lots and developments with smaller lots having drainage issues. You know, there's just no room to drain the thing.
I hear that all the time.
That's just, I mean, we're dealing with it right now. Current developments.
I've heard that y'all are having that problem. Golly, we've done thousands and thousands and thousands of them, and I can tell you that the key to it is the grading plan. Do the grading plan right, you won't have a problem. There was 7 feet between my house and the other house. I didn't have a problem, never had a problem. Nobody in my neighborhood ever had a problem. It's a matter of doing it right, getting your grades right. That's what it amounts to, making water flow like it's supposed to flow. Pick it up where it needs to be picked up, and to reduce any velocity, and then do your grading records.
Are those lakes going to be retention ponds as well?
They'll be both. They'll have water in it and retention. They're going to do both. They'll have a area to raise during the water and then back down.
Looking at that map, north to south, all the water's going to drain.
It comes to, everything comes down to Hurricane Creek. And we'll catch it there and then let it back out slow into the creek. So the lakes will be set at a normal pool with fountains, and then during a hard storm, that pool will raise and it'll go back down. To be honest with you, I've worked on a lot of developments. It's an exciting project, especially when you've got somebody who's wanting to pull it off and make it happen. But it's about a $450 million development. That give you an idea. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a commitment like you wouldn't believe.
And I know, I mean, you don't do it for free, and I don't want somebody to lose money because of the lot sizes.
No,
but I don't want to, you know, I want to do what we can. I think one of the goals is to do what we can to help Hernando and make sure everything we do is in the best interest for Hernando.
Right.
And a lot of this is, most of it is.
Yeah.
I just wonder about the small houses.
Yeah.
That's what worries me. Is that in the best interest for Hernando?
Well,
Is that adding value to, property value to Hernando?
If we, tell me this, would it make you feel better then if we took the 1,600 heated and changed that to 18?
Made me feel a lot better.
And if we took the 18 and made that 2,000?
Would make me feel a lot better.
And if we took the 2,000, made it 22? Because, you know, I think that's really still in our range.
Is that all right with y'all?
Yeah. That fits a lot of the R20, R30 minimums anyway, those sizes. I'm in an R30, I think the minimum's 24.
I think you're right. Maybe that's right. The original plan that was approved had the 12s around that perimeter. We added them also against the interstate, mainly just because nobody likes to live next to interstate. That might be a better place for townhouses, I don't know, but anyway. I just didn't feel like it was the right fit. And I'll be honest with you, to me, to have townhomes on that western edge of that piece of property and have all that traffic have to go back to the front door, it's almost like that should have been at the front door, that high density. So, but anyway, I didn't do the original plan. I know the document that got submitted to you with this is about 50 pages. There's a lot in it. Of course, I didn't go through all of it tonight. We'd be here all night long. It's, I mean, we've worked on it quite a while. And we've met a lot with Austin and other officials of the town, and also, as I said, and along with that, numerous meetings with the YMCA to make this happen, to make them happen. I know DeSoto County needs a YMCA like this for sure.
So it's about an 8-year plan? About an 8-year plan?
I think in a perfect economy, it'd probably 6 to 8, something like that, I would think. You know, but a banker told me the other day, I don't know if he has a crystal ball or what, but he told me the other day, he says he thinks he's going to lower interest rates latter part of this year. I'll believe it when I see it, but anyway, I think he was feeding me some banker stuff, but anyway.
Well, I'm asking because in about 10 years, I'm going to look for a senior house.
There you go, there you go. Yeah, isn't that the truth? Well, I will say this, as I said, we've done a tremendous amount of senior housing. We have just completed a $400 million senior community in Collierville. Farms at Bailey Station.
Any other questions, Mr. Dahlholm?
In reviewing, and I think I'm looking at the same image that you got up there. It's got a 10 in the bottom corner, page 10, I guess. If I'm looking at it correctly, most of it's the 50-foot single, the 6,000 square foot houses, 6,000 square foot lots. Most of those, are all of those served by rear alley
They are.
entries?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yeah.
And
So
that-
we made the small lots serve that away, so they wouldn't be so every 50 foot or every 60 foot, you wouldn't have a driveway out front. We don't have any driveways, just sidewalk where people can walk in safety, so they have rear access, yes.
And I think that
Everything
helps.
has a 20-foot setback, so you have a garage and 20 foot, so you can park 2 in the car, two in the garage, and you can have company in the back, or you can park your son's car or whatever in the back also, and not be an alley.
In my experience, those when there's front-facing garages, that means people just line their cars up.
They do, they do, they do.
Wait, are there sidewalks on the alleyways?
There's sidewalks on all the streets, though.
Just the streets?
Yeah,
Okay.
all public streets have sidewalks. Design guidelines, every garage, on those rear accesses, every garage has to have a light on it, so they're lit also.
What about the 7,200 square foot lots? They have, are most of those front entry garage or side entry?
I think most of them are. Some of them may not be, though, actually.
Side.
I think all of them are side.
C2.
Some of them, they showed
Seen it
some.
Yes, sir, those, I'm sorry, those are front load, yes, sir. That area,
And I
C2 and
realize,
C3.
I realize with a project like this, it's hard to it's hard to retain a lot of the existing tree canopy. What's the plan for the
Well,
interior?
obviously, trees are worth a lot of money. There's not a lot of trees on here, really, so really, the trees are to the north, and we're having a 50-foot buffer, natural buffer there, against the neighborhood to the north, and anywhere there's voids in there, we're supplementing landscaping in those void areas. It looks thicker on the aerial than it really is out there, but any trees that we can say we're trying to are going to, but we still have, there's going to be a lot of dirt had to be moved, obviously, and we're going to plan on getting most of it out of those lakes. And we're going to have to, and while we're building those lakes, even though the greenway will be a dedication, we will have to go ahead and dress that up just to build the lakes.
Those, and Austin, forgive me, I keep forgetting the name of that 30% tree. For every house, or every square footage, you got 30% of the trees for the land and divided by acres. I can't remember.
There's a mitigation table on a grading permit, and we base it on the canopy, and then you're either required to pay into a mitigation fund or replace with a development plan those trees, and so.
Yeah, and every one of these houses has a tree in the front yard. That's part of the reason we did the work with the city engineer with regards to cross-section streets, because of utilities and the tree. We felt it was needed in a front porch.
It's a nice, I've said it, I mean, it's a nice development. I mean,
It'd be a fun place to live, actually. Go down to the coffee shop, have some coffee, get on your bike and ride down, and whatever. Or go to the YMCA and have to work out.
Any other question, Mr. Dalhall? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Anyone in support or against this item, please come forward and state your name and address in its entirety.
Is this PA here? Because people haven't been able to hear very well. My name is Dan Bearden, Bearden, and I live on Froney Drive, 1065 Froney Drive. I feel bamboozled because this is dropped on us, even though something was done in 2007 along these lines, and this is, I know there's other steps in the process, and I'm looking forward to that because there's no way that this neighborhood matches up with the neighborhoods to the north. It is absolutely incongruous with the established neighborhoods, and for this group to cheapen their development by not having appropriate access onto Mackinville or through some of the greenways up north to Pleasant Hill is disgusting. To go up my road with 800 houses possibly trying to go out my neighborhood and my neighborhood to the east of me and all those neighborhoods along there is absolutely egregious. This is thoughtless, and it's going to destroy the neighborhoods that are there. Our property values will plummet, traffic and will endanger people that are able to walk and live in a neighborhood that has a less than 1.0 density. You're putting almost something that's worse than a trailer park right next to a set of very nice neighborhoods. This, I'm glad to see that someone has some concern for the small lots, and I know there's architectural trends and all of this, but that is coming at the cost of me and my neighbors. And I think it's kind of disingenuous to say that this is going to be good for the city because we already have a city center. I'm not sure that Hernando needs a second city center competing for resources that should go into the historical center of the town, in my opinion. I don't know how you read that and see that there's any buffer between this new neighborhood and the existing neighborhoods. The document that was released to the public, I'll just tell you, is sorely missing on details. It didn't even have the new table showing the changes or anything like that in it. So it's a sorry document to try to figure out what is being planned. On the way I read that document, the current tree buffer line there is decimated and replaced with backyards. The densities, according to some information that I got outside of the public document, says that some of the densities are up to 9.0. That is incredible density for a small town like Hernando. The other thing that I noticed in the document that was public is there's no discussion of the, I think it's Bethlehem Cemetery and how to preserve and protect that. That's in the northwest corner of this property. It's historic cemetery. The church is across the interstate. They don't maintain it, but there's no plans. It's going to be trashed by either the development or by the easier access that people will have from the development into that. Tombstones will be stolen, graves desecrated. There are some post-Civil War graves out there, and there's some through the 50s. So it's a really interesting historical place that doesn't deserve to be treated this way. He did point out the flood zone. That's a 100-year flood zone. You're going to build houses in a 100-year flood zone and try to go to your bank and tell them you need financing? You better be a darn good salesman. That's all I got to say. It ain't going to work. Then the other question I have, which is, I guess, a technical one, is that going back to a plan that was approved in 2007, that is an awful long time ago with regard to demographics, with the growth in the area. For crying out loud, they're thinking of widening I-55 further south just because of all the increased traffic and things. So I would suggest that if you're going to pursue this, that you request that all of the detailed traffic studies be done, all of the community planning be done again, and not go off of the old approved design. So I'm just really concerned about these established residential roads getting tied into, and I heard him say the 4 that are shown on the plans, they're only going to tie into 3 of them. If you tie into, Froney, for example, it's a cul-de-sac that'll be taken away. It runs for probably a third of a mile and runs into Wooten. There's not even a stop sign there now. Okay, this is a low-speed, friendly neighborhood, and you're going to have all of these families trying to get out onto major roads and get to work, go to school. The other big difference between the 2007 and now is that high school was a pipe dream. I don't know, I haven't had time to look it up or even try to find it, whether there's a comprehensive traffic plan for Mackinville. For crying out loud, they can't even keep the potholes that will swallow my car from showing up. How are we going to handle that kind of traffic? There's no discussion of turn lanes or stoplights or traffic control. I think it's a disaster waiting to happen. And if you want Hernando to become attractive, you better I would suggest that you think about doing something besides putting in fancy trailer parks and crowded roads. I think we can do better than this. You know, why not? I think the developer could probably make, if it turned into a luxury city center with, you know, 2,000, 3,000 square foot homes, acre and a half, 2 acre lots, I suspect that you will sell it and do well. And you'll attract the right kind of people. You don't have to cater to people looking for their first home all the time. So, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Any questions for me?
Is there a way to give them a copy of this here so they can see what we saw?
Is in their presentation, I think they should. Can you pull up on the screen, Kristen? I think it's on the last page.
I just thought maybe helpful you.
Yeah, I actually have seen this. So, yeah, if you look at the density, there's 7.7 in these 60 by 120s, 3.8. Let's see, the lowest on here, well, I guess
Can you zoom in a bit? It's kind of hard.
I don't see the 2.9 for the condos. So this is really high-density housing. This is New York City in the middle of Hernando. You want that? I sure don't. I don't know anybody around who does. And I'm pretty sure that, well, I know this wasn't in the public document, so.
Any other questions for
What size is your lot?
Right now, 1.5 acres. So that's, what, 1.5 divided by 1? So, no. One living unit on 1.5 acres, so that's a 3.67 is my density.
About 60,000 square feet.
It's 1.5 acres, so yeah, I think that's about right. No, it's more than that. It's,
60 to 70.
is it? Okay, I'll trust you. So I think we're just, it looks great on paper. It looks great if it's my development and I'm going to make all that money selling those mini houses. But for the neighborhood and for the city, I think you might change the whole character of the city to worse than a bedroom community. Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Did you want that back, or?
Anyone else in support or against this item? State your name in its entirety.
Hi, my name is Destiny McMillan, and I live at 1105 Fronty Drive. I did not know about this until today, and I don't know, I'm a mama. I don't know anything about all the numbers. I don't know what the money is going into the pockets. I'm just a mama. I'm a stay-at-home mom. My lot is easily twice the size of that. My home is twice the size of that. I live in a 3,400 square foot home. You're talking about downgrading it and putting a 1,600 or 1,800 square foot home. You want all the traffic to go through. My girls play on the streets, and you're wanting tons of traffic to go through. So there's no sidewalks. My girls play on the streets. All of our kids play on the streets. Right. They ride their bikes on the streets. I mean, what are we supposed to do? We don't have sidewalks. We're just a little bitty neighborhood. And I bought my home 10 years ago because I wanted the small feel. This does not feel small. This is not what I grew up with. I grew up in Hernando. The small town feel, this isn't it. So I don't know what to do. I'm just a mama stating my concerns. So, I mean, I love the idea of a Y. My little girl is in the Y program at Hernando Hills right now. I've got 2 kids graduating in the next 2 years. They are wanting to stay in their hometown, but not this. This is not a hometown feel. This is not the senior parade or the parade that I just went to for homecoming. My daughter was in the parade. I mean, what are we supposed to do as parents? This is great. This is great. This is a lot of money for Hernando. But what about us, the people that are already established, not the new people? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'm Jimmy Helms. I live at 1090 Froney. I live across the street from that lady that just spoke. And the main concern that I'm here for is the street Froney that goes, they planning on hooking up to that subdivision in Wooten. Well, that's going to send people that's working north trying to get out that road every morning, and it's going to be, who knows how many hundred people will be trying to come out through there. And that road structure just won't carry it. It does good to carry the cars that's there. And there's a cemetery right there at the end of Froney, in that cove. There's a cemetery right at the end of the street. They can't put a road through there, through the cemetery. So, and I don't know if anybody know that there was a cemetery there? Just one. Okay. Thank you for your time. That's all I got to say.
My name's Jeff Hobbs. I live at 1055 Wooten Road. My biggest concern, or I've actually got quite a few concerns. I really hadn't had this explained to me. Can someone out here explain this, put it back up here and explain to us where all the entrances are going?
They can show the
Yeah.
entrances here.
Back to the circulation page, which you want to see.
Yes, sir. Wish we had a pointer. Okay, so where are the entrances to this development?
They're on Mackinville. Somebody's moving this thing or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
There they are. They're boulevard roads and large roads.
So the entrances are coming, is one Hall Road?
No.
Okay. Brody?
Yes.
Okay. Dogwood Hollow?
In the future, yes.
And Froney, there's 3 of them, Mr. Hunt.
Okay.
This piece of property right here belongs to the cemetery. There's a track right here that belongs to the cemetery.
Yeah, and right above that too, it belongs to the
So we're tying
cemetery.
into this existing road, Brody, and then we're stubbing into that vacant property, vacant property there.
Okay.
Then Froney, right.
Froney's on the very
Froney on
end,
the
left.
left.
No, sir, the far left.
West.
Where the cemetery is where the road's gonna go.
This is the church property right here.
Yes, sir, but they also own that property right above that,
That's kind of crazy.
in the corner, on the right side of the interstate, right there. That's what they're talking about, where there's a cemetery.
It's just that one person talk at a time.
But that's where they're talking about the cemetery being. But you're also, the roads in Nesbit
Hobbs.
Estate.
Mr. Hobbs.
Yes,
Would
sir.
you just-
Yes, sir. The roads in Nesbit Estate, I was looking at but the roads in Nesbit Estate, they wasn't designed for that much traffic. They're not as wide as your typical roads. You're looking at, 809 houses? Is that correct?
I think so.
809. How many vehicles per house on average? Mr. Planner, you know that answer.
Like 1.6 to 2.3, depending on the size of the lot.
So that's going to be over 1,600 vehicles a day traveling. And some of them are going to be going through Froney, some will be coming out Mackinville, but most of them are going to be most of them are, regardless, the half of them at least will be going down Pleasant Hill. Is that correct, wouldn't you think? Going out to I can't get out of my subdivision now in the morning sometime. And Pleasant Hill is 2 lanes. And you've got houses on both sides. You know, it's not a 4-lane road. And how do y'all expect our infrastructure to sustain a population growth like this in just a few years. And then you've got another development that you can't see right now. What is that, Madison Lakes? And it'll be moving forward probably before this one. And that's just that much more traffic. People getting off on Pleasant Hill, Nesbit, coming in that way, getting off the interstate. How do we expect, again, our infrastructure to sustain that? And then we're looking at the floodplain here. They're going to build houses in the floodplain. Well, yeah, I think you can get insurance. I think you can get flood insurance. Isn't that correct? But are we going to require them to make the elevation at least 2 foot above street level? Wouldn't you think? I mean, wouldn't y'all agree with that? Or we're just going to let them put them down on the ground? Because it's going to flood. I've seen water out of that creek. I've been there 27 years. I've seen it out of there 3 or 4 times, but it has happened. I mean, I knew this development existed. I've seen it before, and I think the planner needs to really explain what a PUD is to everyone and explain to them how it's already been approved and what our options here are. Do you mind doing that?
Sure, yes, sir. So PUD is a planned unit development. It's mixed use, commercial and residential, and so it is the zoning for the piece of property. PUD, that development plan is the zoning for that piece of property. And so what Mr. Hobbs is explaining is the previous plan, the Brighton Village, the options, I think what he's explaining is what's already approved, what's on the table now, is it's the 744 units, and it includes some multifamily, some townhomes, commercial, and the residential lots. And the amended plan, what they're asking to do is revise the plan or submit a new PUD document for a new zoning district with all the changes that were explained tonight. So the existing zoning of the property is that existing Brighton Village PUD.
So basically, we really don't have a choice except to either make these changes or keep what we have. Is that correct?
That's our 2 options tonight. Yes, sir.
Austin, let me ask you this. Because it's a PUD, there's not a zoning on it currently, but as part of the general comprehensive plan, I know that we're revising it currently, but the general comprehensive plan of Hernando, what is anticipated as far as density in that area?
So it's mixed use. That's one of my frustrations with the plan now. It doesn't provide for an average density. And so in developing this plan, that's what Bob was, that 3.2 number that is referenced over and over again tonight would be the overall density of the plan. So it's calculated a couple of different ways. You can do the total number of units minus the common open space, divided by the total acreage. So that number stayed the same by him eliminating the multifamily and increasing the green space. And so I know your comment on the number of lots, it's a little odd to think about, but that number stayed the same because of that, the elimination of the multifamily and the increase in the green space. But it is zoned PUD now with the Brighton Village, and the request tonight is to revise the plan text to account for Delta Landing.
What is the area around it? I mean, does it have a zoning that we can get an idea of what the anticipated density is, anticipated lot size?
It's on that.
It's inconsistent, to be honest. The lots to the north are significantly larger, and the reason for that is there's no public sewer available. That is the reason.
Are they mostly AR to the north?
They are, yes, sir.
Could someone answer me, how large is the buffer on the north side?
50 feet? Is that
It's 50 feet. It just wasn't as same as it was previously approved on the Brighton plan.
50 feet.
Mr. Donhoff, is there a way to, we can bring that map back up. Is there a way to add another access to Mackinville across east-west, across the north side of that whole property to move traffic back out to Mackinville?
A couple of things. We do have a traffic study on the project, and it was submitted, and it did rank high as it could rank. To put a third access point in there, I think you're going to have, you're asking for accidents.
Is the traffic study include Mr. Hobbs' neighborhood?
Yes. The traffic study is based off this plan, uses and the street.
I mean, it takes into account the current traffic on Pleasant Hill, going all the way to Pleasant Hill. Traffic study, not just.
It doesn't consider all the roads in Southern Pennsylvania.
Oh, sure.
But
Pleasant Hill is where everything's going.
And Pleasant hill is, at some point, it's going to be a major collector arterial road, actually.
Mhm.
It's going to be a wide road at some point. And I'm going to assume, I'm not sure what pavement width you have out there now. I think you have probably 22, 24 foot pavement.
Yes,
out
sir.
there now.
Something similar to
These
that.
roads
yeah.
are the same thing.
But it seems like, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with Hernando, but Hernando's always letting the tail wag the dog. And we're always got developments ahead of our infrastructure. And this is another prime example.
Well, you know, as we all know, 9 times out of 10, cities don't provide infrastructure, developers do. They're the ones that pay for that infrastructure usually. So sewer, water, that's not what makes development get happen. And stubs and things like that, and like sewer the stub to their old lagoons and things like that. But as far as any major road plan and future improvements of Pleasant Hill, things like that, those are on the books. I don't know about your roads. I know that your neighborhood is very old. It's been there for a long time, prior to being annexed. And it probably needs some help. But there is a 50-foot, just as previously approved of the other plans, as far as the buffer goes. And
50%.
Up the streets, just as the other plan that was required to do the same thing, and that's what we've done. And, you know, I think we're all creatures of habit as far as, especially with convenience. Convenience is getting in and out of the neighborhood.
That was nice.
And I really don't know that going north is convenience. You want to get out of this neighborhood quicker, you're going to go back out to Mackinville. Then you can either go north if you want to get to Pleasant Hill for some reason.
Well,
But the
we could-
two interchanges right to the south.
We can argue that's subjective
We could.
because
We could.
if somebody needed to go north to the Nesbit exit and come back down
Sure.
Highway 51 and go that way,
Yeah.
because you can't get to Highway 51 from that current subdivision across 55.
Oh, yeah, no.
So they would take Pleasant Hill and go
That's
that
what-
way.
yeah.
But if we look at the numbers then too, let's say 2 cars per household, minus the commercial, we're down to about 675 units. That's 1,200 cars, and even if you take 25% of that, the north side of the subdivision, that's several hundred cars added to their neighborhood. And I go back to my question, is there another way, knowing that's going to happen, you know, minus the traffic study and all the math, just we know how traffic moves in Hernando? Is there a way that we can add another access back out to Mackinville to compensate for
I'm sure we
that?
could do an access, I think it would have to be a right in, right out, just because the other two are so close. The other plan only had 2 also, access to Mackinville. But we could do something out there, that maybe a right in, right out, as another ingress, egress to the side of Mackinville, but.
Just
but
to
full
slow,
serv-
yeah,
but full service in there, they're too close together.
just to kind of redirect it back out towards Mackinville or
Gives
slow it down.
Another point, do a right in, right out, something like that. Especially out of that commercial area.
Well, gentlemen, I'm not going to repeat everything that's already said. I think y'all understand the needs of Hernando and what needs to really happen, and I just wish y'all would really look at this development a lot closer, look at the drainage, look at our infrastructure, and so on. I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you.
My name's Timothy Avery, live at 1170 Wooten Road. Frony, my concern is the same as everybody else's. Frony just dead ends straight into my property. I literally just moved here less than a year ago from California because of all this crazy traffic and everything else. I wanted somewhere great that was not busy like that so I can raise my 2 kids. And so I found this small neighborhood, beautiful home, big property, just as everybody else in our neighborhood. And now the problem's going to be is that they're doing the same thing that I've seen in California for years, and why I moved out of there to come here where it's more open and free and space is available. My kids can ride their bikes. I don't have to worry about all this traffic or speeders, or even worse than that is that, you know, we're not even thinking about crime that now will come through there because we don't know who's moving in there. You know, all those people are going to be coming through our property. We don't have no worries of that right now. Now we got hundreds of people driving through there because it's more convenient for them or whatever. And then also right there, that's right in front of my house. How many accidents are going to be there and everything else? I don't want all that in front of my home. Like, that's it's messed up, you know? That's the reason why I moved here, was to have that space and not have to worry about all that traffic and people flying up and down my roads. I moved from South Haven to there. I lived in South Haven for 2 years prior to that, coming from California, and, you know, if I wanted that, I would have just stayed in South Haven, you know? I lived in a neighborhood just like that, people driving 90 miles an hour up and down the road. Kids can't go outside, backyard's super tiny, by, you know, making the same size houses they're talking about doing. There's nowhere to play, there's nowhere to do anything, so the only place that they can ride their bike or anything is out front next to the road. Well, you know, when we're having people going through there consistently all day, every day, that's gonna be horrible. But same concerns as everybody else, that's my problem with it. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all for letting us come here today. I really appreciate it. My name is Haywood Savage. I live at 1147 Wooten Road. I live right on the corner of Wooten Road and Froney. I'm going to catch both traffics from both sides. There's a school bus stop where his kids catch and their kids catch the school bus sometimes. There's another girl, that's a school bus stop right on that corner. You're going to have traffic from both sides coming in there. You got, if you look at that map, on the west side is Interstate 55. On the south side is Interstate 69. There's no way to connect either one of those two. It's either got to go out to McInville or it's got to come through our neighborhood. And to me, you know, I'm 81 years old. I was born in Hernando. I've lived in Hernando just about all my life. I've seen it grow. I've seen other areas grow. I saw South Haven grow. I saw Horn Lake grow. But then I saw some of their growth go the other way. Now I'm seeing Hernando grow, which is a town that I really grew up in. Finished school at Hernando High School right over here. So I have a great feeling for this, and I have a great feeling for my neighbors and for the people of that area. And I think it needs to be considered. And I was told that everyone in that area should have got a letter telling them about this meeting. I did not get one. I talked to my neighbor, he did not get one. So I've been there 34 years.
Everyone within 500 feet.
I live within 500 feet.
Seems like you could, but it'd be less accessible.
He didn't get a letter, and he lives within 500 feet. So I don't know, it just seems like, you know, I can tell you what, we feel like stepchildren up there. I mean, we were taken in, I had to come before this committee, not this committee, but I had to come before the planning commission when I built my house to get a variance, because my house wouldn't fit because it sat right in the corner of that thing. But y'all, the committee was very gracious. There was no reason not to give me. They gave me the variance, and it worked fine. But you know, I just don't, you know, I just don't think this sending all these vehicles, planting new things for the town. I agree with. The town needs to grow some, but it, like some of the rest of them said, you got to be careful how it grows. Get it because it can overgrow. And I just appreciate if y'all would look at this very strongly. Look at what, you know, what we represent there, that's been there. We had to buy, at the time, we were in the county when I built. We were not in the city. They took us in. They told us we'd have sewage. We've never had sewage since we've been there. People are having to pay now to get their things pumped out. We never got sewage in that area. And we have a policeman that comes in there every now and then, drives through there, and that's about what we get out of the city. So we feel like stepchildren up there. And we just like for y'all to keep us in mind when you make a decision like this that's going to affect everybody. Thank you.
Austin, can I ask you a question? So with Mackinville, with the widening and everything that's happening on that to make it, you know, a street that will handle high volumes of traffic, is there anything as far as the city's concerned, planning or anything like that, that makes it necessary for those outlets on these streets to be there, or could it all funnel in and out on the Mackinville side?
It is possible for it all to come to Mackinville, but from a planning perspective, an emergency response, connectivity is a good thing for police officers to go back and forth. I know folks, the primary concern tonight is traffic, and that is a valid concern. But the city is concerned about fire access and police access and EMS just as well. So Those roads were built in a way to where they stub to a property line. And I guess a policy decision, is this appropriate land use for them to stub to? But from a planning perspective, we would like roads to connect.
Anyone else in support or against this item?
My name is Sherry Galloway. I live at 1075 Wooten Road. My property would back up to this development. My concern is already stated, pretty much what everybody else I totally agree with. My other concern would be if you have the school traffic, because I don't know if anyone goes down Mackinville now where the high school is and the traffic that is there. Yes, we'll have more lanes where the new high school's going to be, but you can't tell me that when this traffic would come out of this development, they're not going to get out on Mackinville. They're going to choose our neighborhood to come back through, either the Dogwood Hollow neighborhood or somewhere there, because they're not going to, that traffic, you're going to try to avoid Mackinville where that high school, especially during school time. So they're going to come out the smaller roads, and they're going to head, because you come off Wooten right on to Pleasant Hill and you're on 55. So when you're wanting to go north, you're wanting to go that direction, you're wanting to go more over toward Nesbit Road, that area, that's where that traffic's going to funnel. So that would be a concern that I would have with this development and pulling this traffic through our neighborhood. I've been there a little over right at 30 years. I moved there for the accessibility I have to the interstate, but with the country feel. So like this gentleman said, the developer said that he did not, he feels like everything is changing, but I feel like there's a lot more people that like that larger yard. We enjoy our yard, we enjoy our neighborhood, and I feel for I fear for the children that are in the neighborhood and the traffic. So, thank you for your time.
Hello, sir. My name is Troy Hyder. I live at 1046 Fronty Drive. I'm these young men's neighbors. There's a few things that they've touched on. It's like the graveyard. In the plot, it shows a little bitty square. And then I think at one time when I went to the planning commission, you said there's maybe 6 people buried there. Try about 250. Because if you go in there, it's an old graveyard, Civil War type graveyard. And if you go out there and you stand, it's all wooded now. You look at the top of the land, and then there's a divot. Land, and there's a divot. And there's a rock at each divot. Those are graves. It is a lot bigger than what is showed on the plot. You're going to have to go out there and sound that area to find all the graves. Because it's quite a large graveyard. It's not just 6. There's quite a few people out there. There's about 6 actual headstones, that's true. But there's a lot of graves that are unmarked graves that are marked with a rock, because that's how they used to do it in the old days. The other issue is our road will not hold. I live on Fronty Drive. That road will not hold another 200 to 300 extra passages a day. That is outrageous. That road was built 30 years ago. It wasn't built to standards. It was built to minimum standards by Miss Brown, who owned the property. She made minimum, and then she grandfathered that into the state. The state didn't build that road. She made a road through the subdivision, and it's held up because there's, 5 houses on our street? 6 houses maybe? That's it. It's been like that for 30 years. And we've all been neighbors for 30 years. The children play on the street. Now you had 200 and 300 people driving in front of my house every day. I have 1.81 acres. You know, every house out there has a minimum of 1.5 acres. My backdoor neighbor, he has 6 acres. There's people out there with larger properties than I do. But the infrastructure is not there to support that type of operation. Also, where's the sanitation going to be for these houses? Because they're not going to be on, I didn't see it on your little chart. Where's the
City sewer.
city sewer? So where's it going to be run from?
It's already at Mackin.
Where's the sewage treatment plant that's going to support this operation?
That the applicant can directly address it, but it'll be pumped back to a lift station on Mackinville Road, back to Crua, which will be the countywide treatment.
Because at one time I seen a design that was taking out the 4 houses on the end of Fronting.
No, so it'd be pumped back to
Okay.
Crua.
So when you push Fronty through, you're only given 50 feet? Is it 50 foot from the edge of the last house?
Are you referencing the buffer?
Yes.
I believe that's what they're proposing is a 50-foot buffer from the back of the lot line to the beginning of the homes. And so there'd be, they said existing trees, but there's not existing trees that'd be planted.
Well, there's a bunch of trees there. It's a forest, but they're a lot deeper than 50 feet. If you go 50 feet, that's not very far. I mean, that's 20 right there. Good grief. We're going to be looking into what are we going to be looking at? The back of people's houses? So it's going to, you're going to dramatically change that subdivision. There's only about 18 houses in that subdivision. And I haven't heard any plan on what they're going to do with the graves. I mean, I haven't heard any plan to upgrade the street. There's no sidewalks. Where are the children going to play? I mean, I understand I got a big front yard. I have a, 98-foot setback off the street. I'm just not convinced this is the way to go. Thank you.
Anyone else for or against this item? Is there a motion to approve, deny, or table this item?
Before we do that, can I ask another question? So on the original, and I know what they're wanting to hear tonight is that this isn't going to go through. But as Mr. Hobbs said, it's already been approved in '07, so something, they could break ground tomorrow on that, right? So on the original one, as far as the access, what changed from the original? Because it doesn't look like, I guess, Froney, was that on the, that wasn't on the original one?
No, sir.
So
I believe
what?
There's 2 less connections on the original plan. They were
Okay.
both stubbed to the empty property, and then, I don't want to say the wrong street name, but it was a third on the northern boundary line.
It looks like there was one going in on Brody.
Brody, okay.
Okay. So Brody was there, and then the 2 stubbing in on the empty property.
I think the lady made a valid concern about the high school. Mr. Dowhoff, have y'all, and this may be a question for Mr. Cronin, I don't know, but about the high school being there, have y'all discussed that or done any kind of, is there anything, I don't know how the traffic flow, if it's gonna change. I mean, I don't know if you're ever here on Mackinville. between 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the morning. But it's a mess down here.
So we did do, our traffic study was only focused on Mackinville and the subdivision. Of course, with any traffic study, we have to pick the scope that we're gonna look at. Can't look at just everything because it's endless. We did not run any analysis with the school traffic involved in it because all of our study was based on current traffic conditions. We did current traffic counts. Our traffic study did find, and also another thing to make comment of, is that none of the stub streets to the neighboring property developments were included in our study. We planned for all traffic to go out on Mackinville. So none of the stub streets are required to make the development work from a traffic standpoint. Both entrances and exits for the development on the study did have some time delay during peak hours, but still operate at a level of service A. The Mackinville delay was so minimal that it wasn't even measurable on the analysis when we put it out on it, because it's a 5-lane road with no other development. One other thing that was noticed, though, is that our entrances can never have another development directly across, which could make a major intersection, 4-way intersection, because across the street is the school with the football fields and that kind of thing. The entrances are north of it. So won't be, you know, another commercial development that could make a very bad 4-way intersection.
Yeah, it's just to clarify, just to understand, so the current traffic study that you did, it's based on current traffic patterns.
We did put a growth pattern on Mackinville, but as far as the school, we didn't put any.
That's not, that, okay, current plus the growth pattern. And then, did I hear you say that it did not include the north connected streets?
It did not. So those are
Do you not see that as a problem, though?
Well, those are only in the plan for emergency and circulation. So what we're doing is we're checking in our study that our entrances and exits can handle the development. We don't need those stub streets to make our development work. Those stub streets are there just from a.
Well, that goes back to a social economic change in the neighborhood general area, and if your study is not forecasting the future it's easy to speculate that traffic will go through those neighborhoods. 5 cars a day, 200 cars a day, we have no idea based on traffic patterns in the future. But there's got to be some kind of analysis done to forecast some traffic going through those neighborhoods and what impact it will have economically, social to that
Well, the
area.
reason why we didn't do it that way is because we want to see if everybody came to Mackinville, which is the worst case scenario for our entrances for our development, which are what we're building, those exits, I mean, one thing that I just talked to the developer about is potentially putting up, and which again, this has got to be approved by the city, this is not a call on our part, but a exit only or an entrance only for emergency vehicles. Could be a gate up.
Right.
Only emergency vehicles can access. No development traffic could go through the street. Could be emergency only.
I think that would ease the minds of a lot of.
I think one thing to think, what I was mainly saying about we didn't take that into consideration is that we don't need those streets to make the development work. Our traffic study showing a level service A was not based on having those other streets.
I get that, and my line of work is a user experience design consultant. I work with engineers and consultants all the time on, here's what the requirements are, here's the need, but very rarely they take into account actual users and how they experience that new thing. And my concern is we're not taking into account user experience after the minimum requirements are met. Traffic study, here's the need, here's the minimum requirements. We passed with golden colors, if you checked all the boxes, but we're not taking into account the impact that it potentially may have. And I guess my follow-on question is there a way to look at that from a more broader forecasting model?
There is, and.
To include the high school coming in?
Yes, there is, and to include the high school, but, you know, also, I mean, from our perspective, you could, if you have the stub streets, if you had emergency vehicles only, I mean, you're basically shutting those off for traffic. So you're going back to our original traffic study
Yeah,
of only the
didn't we-
entrances.
Austin, didn't we slow that down though? Because we didn't want to do a precedent of every new subdivision have an emergency exit, emergency only.
It's tough because I know it's, in theory, it sounds good to prevent traffic, but in an emergency situation for police. Somebody's blocking a fire truck out the back. Speaking of emergency access.
I just raised the door. I just know there was 2 vehicles. 2 vehicles out back blocking the fire truck.
The roll-up doors in the back.
I was not planned at all, I promise. The emergency access is one thing, but for a police car to get there in enough time to make a response, and then for school buses and for garbage pickup, there's a couple of civic services that we do think about for circulation purposes that are important. And so, like I said earlier, those roads were built in a way to connect one day. And a policy decision we need to make is this an appropriate land use for them to connect to? But from a planning perspective and from a civic use perspective, roads need to connect.
Well, the other option too then, that come to mind is similar subdivision, an older established 1 to 2 acre lot, bumping them to a higher density subdivision. So that the 2 edges, you put larger lots to blend into that new neighborhood, so the home values and the properties would blend. So the north side of this subdivision would have 1 acre lots, 3/4 acre lots, 30,000 square foot. So at least there's a blend going into the established neighborhood, into the new one, and then you lower the density as you go farther in. That's one option. It reduces the number of units in this subdivision, but it has more of a fade from density to lower density.
And I'll refer to
Sure.
Mr. Dahlhoff on the planning questions.
Just throwing out ideas.
But as far as traffic, the one thing I wanted to mention is we weren't utilizing those exits as to make our level of service at A, to be A, so we don't need those exits. Those exits are there for planning purposes. And also, one thing I wanted to add too is on the flood zone areas, those would be required to be filled above the flood zone. FEMA's requirement says a minimum 1 foot above. I believe Hernando's is 2 foot above. So we'd be required to be 2 foot above the flood zone in any lots that we build.
Is there any way to take into account the future traffic of the high school?
There is.
Okay. I'm assuming that the high school's done studies, so.
Yeah,
I'm hoping they don't have the same traffic disaster out there that they do on McInville and Mount Pleasant currently. So.
Yes, that definitely could be added to the study. It's just, when we were preparing the study for our submittal for this, I mean, at the end of the day, we're just showing that the road can handle development. Beyond that, we can expand it to whatever we need to.
And that didn't even occur to me until that nice lady stood up. I mean, because 7:30 to 8, everybody's going to be leaving to go to work, and that's also when everybody's getting to high school.
Mm-hmm. Now, as McInville in this section of road too is a 5-lane road. It is way underutilizing the capacity of that 5-lane road currently.
And I guess this could be something that could be determined later, and I'm trying to look at the map, but you mentioned it briefly a few minutes ago. The entrance to the high school, it's designated to be north of the property.
The one map I saw was north, or the parking lot was more north.
Yeah, the primary entrance is north.
Because there is something on this map that shows.
I think it's the secondary entrance to athletic fields.
Okay.
The primary entrance is north.
Right. And the parking for the athletic fields is north and all that. So it's
All right, is there a motion?
I make a motion to table it, depending more, give them more time for the traffic study to account for the school and also through the neighborhoods and to broaden it to give us some idea what this traffic is going to be.
I'd like some more information on that cemetery too. If you're saying, where's that gentleman at? You said there's 6.
Okay, we got
There's
the
6.
motion on here, so you seconding his table?
Yeah.
All right.
Second.
Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Thorne,
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan,
Aye.
Commissioner Safley,
Aye.
Commissioner Max, Commissioner Ashworth,
Aye.
Commissioner Skeen.
Aye.
All right, the motion was approved to table, the motion to table this item passes.
And for everyone here, the next meeting of the Planning Commission is on Valentine's Day, February 14th. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right, the next item is PL 1694, Sloan Tresvant, final plat, first revision. Request to revise the Sloan Tresvant plat, 2 lots on 1.78 acres.
That cleared it up.
Yeah, it did. Should have.
Oh, thank you.
Gotta turn there front side.
Yeah, that's how the garage faces, the road, the street.
Yeah.
I did like that.
Yeah, really.
Well,
Lots are just so.
yes.
All right, PL 1694 is for final plat approval request on Sloan Tresvant Phase 1 revision to Lot 1. Andy Richardson of R&H is representing the owner of the property. This is proposed to create 2 lots total, with a total acreage of 1.78 acres, 1A 0.76 and 1B of 1.02. Both lots have direct access to Commerce Street and as well as Sloan's Way. They do have access to city water and sewer, and the setbacks are listed in your staff report. The property is currently zoned C2, and if you notice on the plat, there are 2 entrances currently on the lot, and this first entrance, most closely adjacent to Sloan's Way, is proposed to be eliminated. And so proposed access is to be shared through the existing curb cut to the west and then also to Sloan's Way. The proposed use of the site is a restaurant, currently going through certificate of development, and primary access for the development will be shared, like I said, through 1A and access to the north onto Sloan's. This is a request for final plat, so we did include the typical standard 10 conditions for the plat, and Andy Richardson's here representing it. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Traffic out here. All right, any question for Mr. Cordos? All right, would the applicant please come forward and state your name and address in its entirety?
Andy Richardson, 231 West Center Street. As Austin said, this is just a application for final plat on this property, just a potential buyer just kind of doing their due diligence to make sure this layout can be approved. 1A, Lot 1A is where the existing Dipsticks business is at, and that lot would just be extended further north and adjoin the hotel there behind it. Lot 1B, as Austin said, would have a access point at somewhere along, goodness, what's the road off? Sloan's Way, that's right, Sloan's Way. And then the shared entrance with Lot 1A out to Commerce Street.
So the dipsticks, that would remain?
Yes. Currently, right now, these 2 lots right now are currently configured into 3 separate lots.
Any other questions for that?
You know what kind of restaurant's going in there?
I do, but I don't know if I'm at liberty to.
I didn't say it either, so I didn't know either. I think everybody knows.
Yeah.
I don't.
I'll talk to you.
No comment about this particular project, but, one thing we ought to probably, would be nice in the future is having like the old original plat submitted with the revised.
Absolutely. I made myself
Yeah.
that note.
And the old original plat that he's speaking of is really essentially the northern half of these two lots. There was a two-lot plat that was a lot which is essentially almost unusable by itself. And then the hotel was a separate lot.
Any other questions for that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in support or against this item, please come forward and state your name and address in its entirety. All right, will we have a motion?
Make a motion to grant final plat approval for Andy Richardson of R&H Engineering representing the owner of the property. Is requesting final plat approval for Sloan Tresvent Phase 1 revision to Lot 1 located north side of Commerce, west of Sloan's Way in Section 18, Township 3 South, Range 7 West, based upon a finding that the submitted plat generally conforms to the requirements of city codes and ordinances, subject to the following standard conditions 1 through 10.
Second.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Thorne?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yay.
Commissioner Safley?
Aye.
Commissioner Max?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashworth?
Aye.
Commissioner Skeen?
Aye.
All right, the motion to approve this item pass. Next item is PL 1695, Mackinville Square PUD revision. Request to revise the PUD text of the Mackinville Square PUD. The subject property is located on the west side of Mackinville Road, north of Byhalia Road in Section 6, Township 3, Range 7. John Stevenson, owner of the property. Mr. Cardozo, would you give us our planning staff comments and report?
Yes, sir. This is PL 1695, and this is a request to amend the already approved zoning amendment for the Hernando Hills PUD that accounted for the Mackinville Square piece. John Stevenson's here tonight representing the project, and the original project was approved in August of 2022, and it's 3 mixed-use buildings, roughly 4 acres, and the request tonight is to revise the allowable number of bedrooms and loft units, and then revise the phasing plan of the proposal. There's a brief description of the general development plan, but generally speaking, the plan is the same. It's language differences in what was previously approved. Specifically, what they're requesting is to delete the loft units of when it says up to 8 lofts. The current plan includes 1, 2, and 3 bedroom lofts, and the applicants requested to only do 1 and 2 bedroom lofts with a maximum of 24 bedrooms per floor. And so what this does is the previously approved plan had 64 units. This would basically reshape the number of bedrooms to be up to a maximum of 72 units, but the same square footage. And so theoretically different walls inside the same building. In addition, the building B was proposed to be the first phase previously, which was the center building, and after speaking with Mr. Stevenson, the request is to do building A, which would be the closest to the intersection of Byhalia and Mackinville, as well as the whole parking lot all at once. I will say, I spoke to a couple of the other cities, and there's a growing movement to limit the number of 3-bedroom units in existing multifamily facilities just because of the traffic generators and the effect it can have on schools with a 3rd bedroom. And so Mr. Stevenson's requesting to only have 1 and 2 bedroom units, which would be a maximum of 24 bedrooms per floor in that same square footage. And so that, and then the amendment to the phasing plan to shift it to building A is the request in front of you tonight. Mr. Stevenson's here, and I have prepared motions to approve, deny, and/or table in your staff report.
Any question, Mr. Cardoza? Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and address in its entirety?
John Stevenson, 1589 Johnston Road, Hernando. Thank you for hearing us tonight. So some of this is pretty easy. The reason we want to revise the phasing plan is due to construction considerations. We're going to have a lot of dirt work that has to be done. We have quite a hole to fill up where an existing maintenance facility for the golf course exists, and we've been advised by multiple primary contractors we're considering to build this, that we need to do the development, ground site work all at once, and then allow that to settle for at least a year before we start putting 4-story buildings on it. So it makes sense. The first building, if we start next to the bank, which is the Southern Bancorp building, that's all on cut ground, and core drilling samples that we're going to be doing should alleviate any site work problems. So that's the reason for that request. The reason for the bedroom change is we don't want to be limited to a specific number of lofts per floor, primarily because we're having to build chases up through the floors. So if you've ever been to Silo Square, you'll see they have a lot of vents on the side of the building or the back of the building because they never included chase in the construction design, these chases through the construction design to allow for restaurant ventilation on the roofs or mechanical spaces to reach the roofs. And so if we want to put 10 lofts on one floor and 6 lofts on the other to account for some of this spacing, we want to be able to have that flexibility rather than a specific number of loft units on the floor. The final thing we want to change is current multifamily limitations in the city of Hernando is 20 units per acre. When we first did this, we asked for 16 units per acre. We want to go to 18 units per acre, and primarily that is, I don't know if y'all consider this, but there are economic considerations driving that. Obviously, costs have increased markedly. Our cost on the construction have increased almost 28%, and interest carry cost has more than doubled since the inception of this. And so I'm available to answer any questions you might have. So, please.
Questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in support or against this item, please come forward, state your name and address in its entirety. All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Aldermen of a rezone requested by Doug Thornton. Rezoning?
That's correct.
Is that
He's
right?
just not here tonight. He presented the
I
application.
it said rezoning, so that's why I was.
That's correct. It's a revision to a PUD, so technically it's a rezoning.
Okay. By Doug Thornton, AERC LLC, representing John Stevenson with Mackinville Square LLC, owner of the property, zoning map amendment, preliminary development plan, approval of 4.0 acres, revision to the Hernando Hills PUD, planned unit development district, Mackinville Square, located on the west side of Mackinville Road and north of Byhalia Road in Section 6, Township 3, Range 7, based upon the findings in 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Thorne?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yay.
Commissioner Safley?
Aye.
Commissioner Max? Commissioner Ashworth?
Aye.
Commissioner Skeen?
Aye. The motion to approve this item passed. The final item is PL 1696, Joy Health PUD revision. Request to revise the PUD text for the Joy Health PUD. The subject property is located on the north side of Holly Springs Road, east of Mackinville Road, in Section 17, Township 3, Range 7. McIntosh Architecture, representing the owner of the property. Mr. Cardoza, would you give us the planning staff comments and report?
Yes, sir. This is PL 1696, and as you mentioned, this is a request to revise the existing Joy Health PUD. It's requested by the original Joy Health PUD was rezoned in 2007, and it was a mixed-use development primarily for a senior living, assisted living facility an associated medical office, and retail frontage along Holly Springs Road. The general development plan for the city calls for this master plan residential medium density. There are some professional commercial facilities recommended in the plan, as long as they're located along major arterial roadways. I've included that full description in your staff report. The request tonight is submitted by Toyota to allow a collision and detail center and associated parking for their facility currently on McInville Road. The existing text is in your staff report of what was previously approved. It's my understanding that the plan fell through previously for the medical facility because a certificate of need was not able to be obtained. And so that's where that one kind of fell through in the existing zoning, but it is currently zoned PUD to allow for a medical facility. The current requests for the collision detail center are detailed also in your staff report, and there's a general site planning and building elevation provided to show what is proposed on the site. Since the printing of your staff report, the applicant did bring us a revised elevation, which he just passed out to you, to provide some additional roof pitch, and he can help explain those changes a little bit more. But primarily, the 5 acres of the site would be for a collision center and detail service center for the principal Toyota site, and the remaining 3.3 acres to the east would be remaining with the PUD zoning of medical office. And so this would just only be for the 5 acres as shown in your staff report. The applicant did provide elevations and a site plan, like I said, and is available tonight if you have any questions, and I'm available as well.
Any question, Mr. Cardoza? All right, would the applicant please come forward, state your name and address in its entirety.
My name is Bill Baker. I'm the general manager at Principal Toyota Hernando. My physical street address is 5072 Belmont here in Hernando. You know, we built the Toyota store. We've been open since March of 2020. Due to where we feel like our growth pattern is going to be, we would like to internally take most of our pre-owned, most of our detail, most of our pre-owned service center and body shop work that's being done, take it out of our main building where we're at now in McInville and move it over there to that location there on Holly Springs Road. After talking to one of the aldermen in the city, she had some concerns about being closer to the residential area. So we took the 5 acres closest to the fire department, leaving that 3 acres with the existing PUD. Like I say, we feel like over the next 24 to 36 months is when this plan will probably fall into place based on economic needs and how many cars we're selling and how many cars we're servicing.
So there's 3.39 acres to the east. That's basically the buffer between that neighborhood.
That's correct.
What would be the future plan for that 3 acres?
They listed on the existing that we would offer it back up for sale. We may possibly develop that into a doctor's office, daycare center, retail type location. Right now, like I say, no plans in the immediate future. We just wanted to make sure that we could, you know, find a piece of property in Hernando that would let us grow and take care of the customers here in Hernando. I mean, it's been a great relationship so far.
So how many, on this plan you have here, how many parking spots is that?
Approximately 240. After talking to Alderman Beth last week, she requested that we put a change in the elevation drawings to match more of the residential side of the street where the fire department is and where the houses are. So that's why we changed the elevation from what we currently have at Toyota. Mainly behind the fences, you see the drawings that we had for elevation. We'd actually moved the side fences up to the very front corners of the building. So the only part that would be parked up front was if we opened a body shop for customers to bring their car in the front. All the rest of the stuff would be, you know, protected in the back behind a gate or fence.
So, Austin, I have a quick question. So typically for building of this size, whatever, what would be the required parking?
It's on detail, probably one for every 200 square feet, so this would be way above and beyond the required parking requirement.
And are all these extra parking spots for the vehicles that are being serviced and left overnight?
No, sir. That would actually be, most of those car spots in the back would be for inventory. Right now, we have 407 parking spots at our existing location. Toyota's planning volume for us is 120 new and 120 pre-owned. That's 240. Our current travel rate in the service department, we're writing about 80 ROs per day, so that's 80 customers' cars coming in on top of that 240. It hasn't been an issue over the first 2 years we've been open because we just don't have, they can't produce enough new cars. But normally in the history of the car business, you'll have a 45 to a 60-day supply of new cars. So if you're selling 120, you'll have 240 new cars on the ground and 150 to 160 used. So we're going to just run out of overall parking spots.
So essentially it's
overflow for the main lot?
Yeah, it would be mostly new car inventory. And like I say, not giving you a lesson in the car business, used cars come in and it takes anywhere from 1 to 3 days for those cars to be serviced through the service department. And we would move that to this location for servicing. A new car comes in, it has to be PDI'd, it has to be cleaned up, and we would move that detail center up there as well. Right now, the architect, I don't know that we would put a body shop in Hernando, whether the business economy actually holds up to it. Right now, we have 3 pretty good-sized body shops here now, so more than likely it would be all for internal work, just for the store.
So if I understand just the workflow, this facility would be prep and overflow.
That's correct. There won't be.
The main Toyota would be your sales.
That's correct. Yeah, we would not be selling cars out of there. All the cars would be brought to the lot to be sold.
Does all your service stay over at the main place?
Yes.
Mechanical service would stay there?
The only mechanical service that would be at this location would be our internal service for pre-owned cars. So we currently sell a lot of different makes and models of used cars. Those cars are serviced in the main shop now. We would move those 3 technicians over to that building to take care of nothing but pre-owned cars.
So a couple of questions. So essentially, for the businesses you're talking about running here, you don't need that amount of, so you're talking mostly this is going to be a big parking lot.
Parking spots.
And so like you're saying, you don't, and you already said you don't want to explain the car business to it, but when they looked at the location where you are, did they not take all of that into consideration when they planned to put the location there to handle the volume that you're talking about that you need?
Yes, when we originally bought the piece of property, the planning committee didn't require us to put in a retention pond that ate up 1.2 acres of the front of my existing lot. So that 1.2 now is a pond instead of another 150 parking spots. So short of building a built-in retention pond and paving over the top of it, we decided to go in this direction.
And I haven't read through the language of the PUD to get specific, but I mean, are wreckers gonna be coming in and out of there, leaving vehicles? I mean, if you decide to run a collision center out of it, I realize you're looking at me kind of funny right now, but if a collision center's run out of there, I mean, are there gonna be wreckers that drop off vehicles that are not operational, things like that?
They would be put behind the fence that's on the front corner of the building. So there would be they would have access to get in there to put the cars in. We don't have a body shop right now, so we don't, I mean, they do drop them at our dealership for mechanical purposes. When somebody hits something in a Toyota, they go into limp mode, which causes those cars not to be drivable. So they will drop them currently at our location. But that would be definitely gated where they could put them behind the fence.
I know too, and tell me if I'm missing it, but the fence was only described as a solid fence screen.
It would be a screen, whatever the city requires at the time for us to have it protected from the residential area, trees down both sides.
Does that not have to be spelled out in the PUD? I mean,
It can go both ways. Our design regs catch nuisance screening for garbage or wrecked cars, utilities, but for a safeguard, you can put it in the PUD.
Yeah, our current I mean, the way we use the fencing is what we put in for the architect was just like our trash bins that we have at Toyota now, which is a fully enclosed. You can't, it's 6.5 foot tall. You wouldn't know what was back there other than opening the fence. And
I'd like to see something nicer than just a solid wood privacy fence. I mean, that's why I'm asking what you've got in mind.
I mean, I think we've done everything that you guys have asked us to do in the past. What we did for the changes, where we're at now in the existing Toyota store, we would do what the city required.
Well, I mean, the city doesn't require anything more than a solid wooden privacy fence. I think having an idea of exactly what we're looking at as far as a fence, it's gonna be this big, it's gonna be around this property and hiding these vehicles. That's my biggest concern. I mean, you've got these vehicles that are gonna be there, they're gonna be immobile, they're gonna be parked there for, you know, I realize the goal is not to have them sit too long, but otherwise you're not making money. But, you know, they're also an eyesore from the neighborhood nearby and cars passing by, if they're visible to the roadway.
Yeah, they won't be visible from the.
I realize that, but is the fence gonna be an eyesore because it's
Yeah,
visible
I
from
mean,
the roadway?
whether you want me to put a wrought iron fence in, or, I mean, if you go to our Toyota store now and you look at our fit and finish at the end, we will definitely put something in there that's eye appealing to the residential neighborhood that's beside us.
But I can't guarantee that if it's not spelled out in the BUD documents.
Also, would the surrounding established homes that are already there, would they be able to see those cars parked from their yards? Or are you talking about taking a fence all the way around?
It would be a fence all the way around. Between us and the fire department, for insurance purposes, the fence will be all the way around our property. The house that faces Holly Springs Road, they would have to look out the side of their house. It doesn't face where we're at now. There is an existing home there that I spoke to the alderman about, having that tore down over the next 60 to 90 days. She said there's been people in there, homeless people living in there and starting fires or whatever. So we'd like to get that off as quick as possible, and get that torn down. Like I say, I don't see a development there for at least the next 24 months.
Yeah, just kind of echo Commissioner Jordan. As long as from Holly Springs view as you're driving by, it looks equal to or better than your current Toyota location. I drive by there all the time. And it doesn't look like your typical car lot up north.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that.
Yeah, no, that's the same thing. We would have the same.
But it's really
guidelines.
close to that residential neighborhood, and I think that's our biggest concern, is that we take care of those neighbors.
Yeah, that's why we decided to leave that buffer between us and there's, if you go by there now, there's some trees there. They're cutting the hay bales off of it currently.
But you don't have any future plan for that 3 acres right now?
No. I mean, you look on the record, the architect put it that they would relist it for sale. The agent that, we have a contingency right now on the purchase of a zoning change, because I don't need it if I can't get a zoning change. If the contingency would be, like I say, we're not in the development business of medical offices or daycares. I've had 2 people already call me and say, hey, Bill, what are they gonna do with the 3 acres that if you guys don't use it? We would have, like I say, more than enough parking spots for our future growth and to do the things that we don't need to do on the 5 acres that we have.
I guess that answers my question. So do you hang on to that 3 acres, and then 5 years from now you come back and now I need a bigger parking lot, so I want to go east?
I don't know that it would be. I mean, we're currently looking at another franchise that we're looking at, that more than likely would either go up towards the 269 corridor or go up into Nesbit somewhere. Those items are being worked on currently, but we would have it's not a high traffic enough area to go in there and put a retail location in for people to get in and out of for purchasing cars.
I think what you were asking was, would they come back if this were approved? Correct me if I'm wrong. Would it then down the road they come back and say, oh, we need more parking spaces? Can we extend the parking?
So, just play out a hypothetical scenario.
Right.
you build this facility, a couple years down the road, nobody wants to buy that, or you can't sell that 3 acres, you still own it. You're not in it, you're in the car business, so it's not like you're in a development business. And then all of a sudden, there's a boom in the car business. It's like, holy cow, we need more space. Oh, we've got this 3 acres over here, let's just build a bigger parking lot.
Well, I don't, I mean, to go to that level, you're talking selling 700 to 800 cars per month in Hernando. I don't have that crystal ball to tell you whether or not.
Neither do we, but that's why we're here.
Right.
We have to think that far
Sure.
down.
I mean, I'm trying to look down that road 4 to 5 years now to hope that I need that additional parking to justify the 450 to 500 parking spots.
But the remaining 3 acres is to remain, the existing PUD will apply to that.
That's correct.
You're not applying this new PUD change to that.
That's correct.
So, I don't, yeah. So
Yeah,
it
but then,
becomes,
you can always come back and request for that to be changed too.
yeah, but we can deal with it when it's requested, yeah.
Of course.
Any other question for the applicant? Thank you.
All right.
Anyone in support or against this item, please come forward and state your name and address in its entirety.
My name is Andy Lehman, and I live at 3430 Lambert Cove, just around the corner from this piece of
Would you
property.
repeat that? She didn't
Sure,
hear.
I'm sorry. Andy, A-N-D-I, Lehman, L-E-H-M-A-N, 3430 Lambert Cove. You're welcome. And I'm a little embarrassed, but I will not start by telling you I'm just a mama, because I'm not just a mama. I have been a mama. My kids are all grown. Not that no offense to that lady. I've been here several times when she's been here, and it tickles me. But I do have some dumb questions, and I'm going to state that on the front end. So if you would bear with me, I don't have a yay or a nay. I'm smart enough to know that you all have to make decisions based on a lot, and you have to take into consideration more than just 7 homeowners, 1 homeowners, the people who own that property. You have a lot to decide. But I don't understand some of what I'm hearing, and if you could just confirm with me, that would really help me. May I do that? Okay, I'll be real quick. First, I'm understanding that the existing PUD will stay the same on the 3 point whatever acres that we're not touching, right? Okay, so that would still be medical. My second question is, thank you for saying something about the fence, because that was my first concern. What's that fence going to look like? I understand that behind that fence, you could have a garbage dump, but if the fence looks nice, that's at least going to appease those of us who live in that area and those of us who drive by it all the time. And at least cars that are in bad shape don't smell, so I'll say that. So I would love to see y'all figure out what that fence would look like, or at least put some kind of recommendation in the PUD part that you're going to rezone to say what that should look like. My third question is about the building. I wondered, and I was really hoping they'd put something up there, but I could see. I wondered what the building is going to look like. Will it look just like the current building that we have? And I'm not.
You're welcome to.
I'm not surprised because the Toyota building is really pretty. So is this the part that's going to face Mackingvale? Okay, this is going to face Holly Springs. Okay, then that goes to my last question for you. Isn't there a corner next to this? Isn't there a property next to this still that's a very wooded?
It's on the other side of the fire department.
It's on the other side of the fire station.
No, I mean, this is here, and let me see if I can do it like this. Okay. So if I'm standing on Holly Springs and I'm looking at this property, I've got there'd be 3 acres over here that we're not going to develop. And then you've got your fire department, right?
Fire station.
It's over here.
Oh, I'm backwards. I'm all turned around then.
Yeah, the 3 acres is between the residential and us.
Show the
This
other
5
page.
acres, and then the fire.
Okay, but there's this corner property, right, next to the fire department.
Yes, ma'am, that's all. I don't know
Who owns that? It would just make more sense to me if y'all were going to put something right across the street from you. That would be a nice corner. I was just curious.
I don't know who owns it.
I don't know who owns it either. Just for visual, like when I come around the corner there, if I've got Toyota on one side, it would make sense to me that I have Toyota on the other corner. And I was just curious to know if that was even a consideration. I understand you don't own that property.
No, I believe the guy that owns it is the same guy that's just building the gas station on the other corner.
Don't get me talking about that gas station now. Okay.
That's who I think owns it.
Really? Okay. Thank you.
He said he bought it so nobody else could build a gas. He just bought a car.
So nobody else can build a gas station?
Yeah, that's what he told me.
Okay. Anyway, those were my questions, and I would love for y'all to perhaps ask what the fence part would look like. Well, so is the fence, wait, so another question. If I'm looking at this on Holly Springs, the fence is not going to be in the front, it's just going to be around the back 3/4 of this?
That's correct. The fence would start at the front of the building and go down both sides.
Okay.
If you're
Think
coming down
about,
back-
think about a fence that wraps around a house.
Right.
You got little side coming off the side of the house and then around the back you prove.
Okay, so as you're coming down Mackinville around the corner, you're going to see the fence there across from the,
I'll show it to you. This would be where the fence comes right across here. So you would drive in off of Holly Street. This is that existing
But didn't say
driveway
they
that goes
moved
back to the
that
house
up.
back here.
okay.
And we'll have a different driveway that comes in and the fence will come.
He may have said that. I think it's coming.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. So again, I just would request that you could think about what that fence would look like. I appreciated your
Well,
statement.
they would go through the planning office and a design review.
Most likely wrought iron. It's the primary design.
Just something that would look nice. Okay, and I have one last question, because that's all I had to say. Is it possible for me to get a copy of this? I was kind of sent as the
can have
unwilling
that.
representative for an entire neighborhood.
You can keep that
But
one.
I was the one who was available.
Keep that
So,
one.
thank you. May I keep this?
Yeah, just keep that one, keep that one.
Yeah, madam, she can have it.
I've got this one. Thank you, Commissioner Jordan. That's all I had. Thank you all for what you do. I appreciate you letting me come up and talk and get the info. Thanks.
Anyone else in support or against this item? All right, we have a motion.
We don't, there's no need to address, y'all can address the fence.
If you want some language, the requirement would be wrought iron with associated screening. If you want to specifically put that in the motion, just to clear up any confusion, that would
Okay.
help.
I think that's a good idea. I just don't want to get later on.
If you look on the north side of our property now, between us, mini storage unit, that's what the fence looks like. It's a wrought iron. They're probably 2 inches, 2.5, 3 inches apart, I don't know. But between our property line and the mini storage unit is a wrought iron fence. It's 6 foot high. I mean, it's not gonna be an adequate job to screen what they want. So I know that there'll have to be something that will have to put screening on the inside.
We have a landscape standard we can plant. If you want to say solid wrought iron fencing with landscaping as detailed in the zoning regs, there's a spell out of that not streetscape, but landscape plate that goes along with it.
So my question is, so right now, the way it's zoned, it's for mixed use, so you could look at, obviously, various different retail establishments in there, is that correct?
On the frontage was like associated retail, and then the rear portion of the lot was the medical office assisted living facility.
Okay. So that's what we'll be giving up then with this, is the opportunity to bring in multiple varieties of businesses in there to,
Yes, sir. That'd be the trade-off.
okay.
Well, the existing 3 acres still maintains that same PUD though, right?
It does, but the 5 acres, this would be the use for that 5 acres.
Which will still limit, though, what you can, by limiting that space, you're gonna be limited on really how much you can bring in there.
As long as it's a Dairy Queen. We need a Dairy Queen.
We need a Dairy Queen.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. Motion to recommend approval to the Board of Aldermen of a rezoning requested by McIntosh Architecture, representing the owner of the property for a zoning map amendment / preliminary development plan approval. Revision to the Joy Health PUD request from Toyota located on the north side of Holly Springs Road, east of Mackinville Road, Section 17, Township 3, Range 7, based upon finding 1 through 3, and also requiring a solid wrought iron fencing with sufficient screening and landscaping as detailed in the zoning regs.
Sounds exactly like Russell Jordan said.
A second?
Second.
Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Thorne,
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yay.
Commissioner Zappy,
Nay.
Commissioner Max,
Aye.
Commissioner Ashworth,
Aye.
Commissioner King.
Aye.
All right, the motion to approve this item passed.
January 17th is the board meeting, which will be heard after.
All right, is there, you got anything for us, Mr. Cordova?
Very quickly, I've talked with the Walker Collaborative on the comprehensive plan update, and we've scheduled February 16th as the public hearing for them to bring back their final draft. So we're booked in this room February 16th at 6 p.m. And so I'll send out invites and everything closer to time, but just to put that on your calendar, that's when we're planning to bring the draft of the comprehensive plan back to you. And I think I've sent it out to everybody, but if anybody needs it, or a physical copy, let me know and we'll get you one.
February 16th.
They get one. Commissioner Zappy and Commissioner Max.
We're getting
On
email.
digital.
If you need a physical copy, let me know. I'll get you one.
What time did you say that was? 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock, it's a Thursday.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Third.
Been trying to decide
Meeting's adjourned.
whether to get one if I would now, but functionality was
Do
there.
you want these Brighton Village?
Yeah, please hang on to those.
There's been a couple
Hang on to them or give them back to you?
where
I'll keep them.
I couldn't just get it to do what I want to do.
I would have included